what if the communication was a human to the sidekick? Because a lot of the problem seems to be that the sidekick doesn't know what the human is doing. And it can be something as silly as, like maybe like a whistle. Like they're doing something and you think that your sidekick is goes somewhere else, and it's just a signal that might mean you did it wrong or come here right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
So, I mean, part of the thing which is tricky is to, with regards to knowing what to do next, is that I think that neither the Ghost World problem nor Dearth have these kinds of interesting situations in them where like a whistle might be useful. I don't know. Maybe part of what I need to do is like come up with a better game.
Well, so are you watching people play Dearth 2-player?
They're both in front of the computer, in front of the screen, and they're pointing. Go there, stupid. Go there, stupid. Just having that simple, like, you've got two entities inside of this thing that have no language. They're just trying to infer what each other's doing based on actions, and that's just not. In most of the games where I would imagine a co-op, like a co-op like AI playing, those are games where when you have multiple people, or even when you have AIs like right now, you have like stop, go there, two people over there, like those kind of like squad style things. Having those kind of communication, like a symbol-based communication between you and the AI, or even just like if it were the GPS unit in your car that's telling you go right. Well, I didn't go right. Well, now it's telling okay, now go left instead. Like having some amount of communication back to you, so you know what mode the AI is in, and what the AI thinks you should do.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool during a sort of learning mode. Like if in the beginning of the game when I'm playing Dirt and I'm playing with the AI, if I had a way of telling where I thought we should meet, but then the AI sort of looks at that location thoughtfully and sort of determines something about that. Okay, he likes the upper right hand corner, and then so I don't have to do that as often.
Yeah, every intersection in that game can pretty much be played the same way.
But when I'm playing it, I always remember I know how to do it if I can get the ghost into that one. Even though technically it's the same over here, I tend to go over there, and having the AI know that's a better area to go to for me, that would help.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I was thinking about the whole presentation is what players want out of an AI buddy, which I think Jason kind of talked about. In the sense that, in my experience, when you've got like an AI partner in like an adventure game, right? What you want is for the partner's actions to always be consistent, because the person who's going to be doing the experimental parts of interacting with the environment is the player, right? So you don't suddenly want the AI. I'm wondering how you would manage that tension between you want the AI to continually learn and develop, but when you try something new, you don't want the AI to suddenly start reacting in a different way, right? Because then it becomes, I'm trying to think how this looks. Like, let's say you're in a Zelda game, and you're in a room, and you're Link, and there's
So, I mean, what's going on is you want the AI to understand that you're kind of just experimenting and messing around, not trying to like tell it anything or communicate with it or whatever. You want to just kind of chill and let it work things out.
And you don't
to
necessarily
understand.
want.
Yeah. So I mean, one way that you can think that might happen is that you could, like from the modeling perspective, say that humans have two modes of working. Like one of them is like this exploratory mode in which the reward signal that you should get should be different from like the regular kind of solving the game mode, right? So in the solving the game mode, you should get rewards, so you kind of in the case of Dearth, like both setting the ghost or what have you. But in the exploratory mode, you should really get rewards, I guess, for the human discovering things, and it should really be dependent upon your actions or whatever. Maybe. I don't know, maybe that's the way to think about it.
But that calls to mind, like, because it seems like you start to get into questions of characterization too, right? So like Echo is the great example where the princess, you want to be following you, you want her to stick close to you, but then every time you turn around, she's just wandered off and is dying, right? But that's part of like the character.
But you
That's
can
part
call
of
that.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. It's like constantly having to yell at her to get her to come, and if you don't pay attention, she wanders away, and that's part of the world and the environment.
Yeah, I
right?
think all these subtleties are
Yeah.
decisions that you have to consider. There's probably different types of, layers of the air that you can use, but you're gonna have different sort of results as far as what it's conveying to the player. Like, yeah, I mean, there are some games that I probably don't want to play. Like if the fiction is this is my brother, we're defeating this army together. I want them to probably learn with me. Probably don't want to say it out loud to everybody else, but I probably don't want him to go ahead and defeat the army by himself. And get so good at learning before I've learned how to do it. You know what I mean? So sort of stepping back a little bit, or but there might be another situation where I'd be totally fine with him go blazing ahead. And it seems like there's a lot of these weird subtleties with these AIs where, gosh, as humans, we look at body signals and stuff all the time to just sort of determine what the other one's thinking. I mean, just sort of me moving forward and then him going the other direction. If it doesn't seem exactly right, you're stumbling into a different type of fiction.
Yeah, it seems to be a totally different problem based on where the game, at least from our perspective, on what kind of game it is. Right, so if it's something like that, then I'm going to be very concerned with how it works. Whereas when you're talking about the Pac-Man game, I thought I would love to be able to communicate with them and tell them where to go, and then change that just to fuck with it. Right? Like I don't want to see this thing like get confused and try to figure out what I'm doing.
It's
That's
also-
gotta be really fun.
It's also going to depend not just on the genre, but like what kind of AI you're creating. Because if it's supposed to be human, it's one thing, and then like with Ico, you're going to read like the whole personal generally about like girls and where to go. But then it's like if it's a dog, it's a totally different expectation versus let's say it's supposed to be a computer, robot, AI, cyborg. Then it's moving unnaturally. Makes sense,
I
in the game.
think a lot of this, what you were sort of saying about, at one point you were saying, well, this is too large, we don't have enough memory, it expands exponentially, we can't save all that data. But, humans don't have unlimited memory either. And scaling back and saying when it gets too crazy, we look, we know what is far ahead.
It's clear that humans solve problems which we can formulate as a
But I'm just saying-
right? So obviously
Yeah,
we're not
exactly.
doing whatever it is that
Yeah,
the
but
computers
if
do,
you had to
right?
scale back, that might actually feel more natural
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
to the.
Yeah.
Plus, I think players might sometimes find it, when you talk about characterization, they would kind of want the AI to act rationally sometimes. And when you're in a situation where you're, as a player, in an exploratory mode, right, where you're going, well, I'm trying to find out the factors of the environment so I can solve a puzzle. If the AI occasionally gets something irrational, it could reveal something as, you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's really funny that you said irrational though, because from the AI's perspective, it's
Mhm.
totally irrational, right? Like it has to be irrational like us.
Right, but I
So
guess
it's
that's kind of the
interesting,
question, how do you
the
build
way that-
in?
Well, the way that you build in like strange behaviors in a system like this is by rewarding the agent for behaving strangely. So a lot of the subtlety that I'm sweeping under the rug of making so you'll remember that. So I think Jason asked the question. So what are we hoping to achieve? Are we hoping to reduce program amount of time? Or I know what Andrew asked. Yeah.
Matt.
Oh, Matt. Oh, you just did. Well, that part. Something's going on. Yeah. So, and I kind of flippantly said, well, we have this system which can just what we have to do is just set up this way of describing the world and then automatically work out what to do. But I kind of swept under the rug the whole issue of well, what is the right thing to do? So what should be rewarded? What is the reward that you are trying to maximize or over time? And setting that whole thing up is really crucial for creating these kinds of behaviors of crazy, irrational people running around, what have you. You reward the AI whenever it does something which kind of is weird or inconsistent, right? And that's how you set it up. But then, so there's then the art or the niggliness that you are trying to avoid in avoiding scripted AI solutions to start with is now kind of reintroduced by trying to finagle what the right setup for the model is. So what the reward signal should be and all that kind of stuff. So I think like it's a non-trivial.
It's a huge, huge problem.
Yeah.
You see at the AI summit, they're always talking about AI techniques, but they don't use complicated AI techniques or planning AI techniques because they don't want the optimal solver ever. In most of these games. Civilization, you might want the optimal solver, but it's one of the only war games you actually want an optimal solver. In most games, you want a suboptimal human-seeming solver. And so there are two very different problems here. One is, can we just solve Dearth as a game? And the answer is not quite. It's still too hard. And the other question is, can I solve Dearth in a way that is fun to play with? Which is a completely different problem and much harder than that first one. Right? So I think that's kind of your kind of thing. Where do I go next? And I think you've got two paths. One is try to solve the problem from an AI point of view of just solve this hard problem. Or the other direction is, how do I get something a little bit closer to what people in making games actually want to use?
For what you were saying, you know, the options of, you know, like what to do, you know, from the point of view of games, you would play test it, like have you taken these two modes that you have, like give it to players? Are they noticing the difference between the agents? Yes, no? Because that's the kind of thing that we care about, is play testing. Like, but in front of people, you know, what is the one that people might think is more clever or more, you know, or less frustrating? Yeah, do they even notice? Because my hunch is that maybe they don't notice it so much.
Yeah.
So that might help you identify, like, well, I want to solve it from an AI point of view, or, well, maybe there is a difference, this makes a significant difference with players, so this is the more long.
I'd suggest if you didn't do that with players, I think as somebody, if you were to ask me, do these two AIs feel the same, I would probably say yes. But if you were to say that you're playing with a real actual person offline, you know, online somewhere else, and which one did you enjoy playing with more, which one shares your attention, then I would identify with the person more.
What kind of person did you think?
It's risky, but you could also say, you could change the colors, like, okay, you have an agent that is red and an agent that is blue, it's like which one more better. You always have to be careful because, you know, the players might be filling up, you know, things depending on the fiction.
I like the casting as a human question.
Yeah.
What is this
Yeah.
other person you're
It's
playing
like
with doing?
shadow. It's like
Yeah.
shadow.
Yeah.
Instead you'll attribute notions to it, you'll look for patterns in a different way than you would with an AI. The AI, you just, did it screw up? No, I'm impressed. That's what you expect from an AI to screw up.
Yeah. How old do you think the other player is?
Yeah, questions like that. Yeah.
So, I want to clarify, your reward structure cannot involve human input, right? Because
No.
you
That's true.
right. With computing your solutions will take forever. Once you require a number that needs to be generated by actually human.
Okay, so in the case of Markov decision process value iteration style setup, yeah, so if your reward signal requires a human to tell you what's good, then you need to get that information from a human, which in turn is telling us that, right, we have to wait until the human is giving us that input to be able to do value iteration. And given that value iteration takes an awfully long time, we can't use it for doing online planning, right? However, in the case of, for instance, in the case of these last two alternative techniques, it's trivial in Monte Carlo tree search, for instance, to take into account the human's judgments on like how good a state is to which what have you, or whether you're doing a good job or what have you. It's just
Well, no, it's just because
and it's already and so and because it's already an online planning technique, that is, it happens in real time. It's like the fact that you're gathering more information in real time is not a burden. It's already made.
But what is the difference between, so there's the reward structure that happens in
The algorithm that you're running, but there's also me just pointing and saying, you go to this goal instead of that goal. You've already calculated the rewards for that particular goal, right? Because it's one of the many goals that are available. So it's just a matter of saying, and I'm trying to just understand, like, trying to remember how it works.
Okay, so think about Dearth, right? The way that we'd set up the reward structure was so that you take basically a point of damage, or it costs you one util or whatever to take any action, and then when the game's over, you stop losing utils. So you kind of slowly bleed to death until the game's over, at which point you start doing it. But if you, as the human, could point out something which is good for the AI to do, rather than taking damage when they do that thing, they would instead be happy as a result of doing it, right? And so what you do is you take the reward signal function that you have, which just by default says no matter what you do, lose utility, and you just tweak a bit of it so it says no matter what you do, use utility, unless you do something which the human says is good, in which case gain utility. And yeah, it's straightforward.
You should be able to compute a reward structure.
Linearly combined.
Yeah, like you should be able to compute a reward based on like if say you are telling the computer where to go by the means of mouse cursor, you should be able to throw into these solvers, well, solve for every possible location of the mouse cursor.
That's what I mean. I think that's what I was meaning by goals. We've only got 17 goals.
So if you wanted to do value iteration with mouse pointer because it's pointing all that kind of jazz, then the way that you do it is you would include the position of the mouse cursor as part of the state, and then you use value iteration to solve that. But in the case of, you might do it in a somewhat different way, my college research.
Yeah, similar to the whistle and similar to pointing where to go. You could, say the fiction could be that you have a dog that's getting the newspaper and needs to bring it to you. When you're going somewhere, you could have just a good dog button and a bad dog button, and every time they move, letting them rate.
But
adjust the system.
I guess I'm just suggesting that you can put this into, you can combine that with what you're solving by simply just turning every single thing that a user could possibly do, in terms of communicating that decision back into your function.
So that's adding to your complexity rather than adding extra actors like other ghosts. You're adding all these other different things that the player could be communicating back, right?
Yeah.
So it's all exponential, at least through.
No. So what you're doing then is adding extra actions, and adding extra actions. Let me think about this. Can make some things harder and some things easier. So it makes Monte Carlo tree search, for instance, a little bit harder because you have to explore all of these possible branches that you can take in order to get a good estimate of how good a given action is, or indeed how good a given state is to be. It makes things like value iteration take longer to run, but in the end, the amount of memory that it uses up to store the policy which you generate is no larger than it was before. So the size of the policy is entirely dependent upon the size of the state space, not the size of the number of actions.
Okay.
But doing the value iteration steps depends on the number of actions. You have to consider each action that you could take and see how the state that it leads you to is, and do repetitive stuff. Yeah.
It was your birthday yesterday, right?
It was.
Okay, so. Sorry, I just wanted to get to this before it melted.
Oh.
Remember?